1967, upon landing on Earth after completing their mission, the Soviet spacecraft Soyuz 1 with cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov on board tragically perishes many years later under the leadership of the Swedish billionaire. Mir, an expedition to Mars, is being prepared after 10 months. The crew of the spaceship Ulysses reaches the Red Planet. The captain informs the team that they have received permission to land and asks the ship's AI named Irene to verify everything required for a soft landing. At this time, Mir reveals that he spent 4 years preparing for this journey, sacrificing almost all his money for it. However, the American company Zillion beat them to it by landing 2 weeks ago. The problem is that Earth has received no news from the American crew except for one video in which they ask not to come to Mars. A dispute arises among the crew members, but the captain declares that the landing will occur in any case. And people disperse to their cabins with 30 minutes left until landing AI Irene begins preparations. However, an unforeseen event occurs. The ship does not detach from the carrier system. Posing a threat to the entire crew, the only way out is to perform the separation manually. The commander ventures into space and struggles to free the attachments. But at that moment, the shuttle enters Mars's atmosphere, throwing the captain into open space. The shuttle almost crashes onto Mars. As a system error causes a power outage, now they can only rely on manual landing. AI Irene goes into sleep mode, and the astronauts still manage to land on Mars. They succeeded, but their fuel is depleted, and Irene does not restart. Without the onboard computer and life support system, they have only a day to survive. Alessandra mourns her deceased husband when she sees a figure in a space through the window. After diagnosing the ship, it becomes apparent that too much fuel was consumed during the landing, and now the ship cannot return to orbit. The only option is to wait for the solar panels to power the generators, but there's a storm on the surface and it will take 2 days' time they don't have at this point. Simon mentions the American ship Zeta 1, which beat them by 2 weeks. It likely crashed, but there are probably batteries left. The rover sets out on a journey while those remaining on the ship try to restart the system. Engineer Basil AI Irene conducts an analysis of the structure and determines that it is identical to Earth. Structures from ancient civilizations, it means that someone was inspired by human civilization, or humans borrowed these elements from extraterrestrials. The ship's crew increasingly ponders whether they will be able to return home when they notice the landing of Goldstein's second ship. Soon, the captain of the ship, Gemma, establishes contact and promises to help them return to Earth. However, Mir does not trust Goldstein and advises hiding Komarov from competitors. Jana brings Komarov a uniform so that he does not stand out when the visitors arrive, and he requests that they trust him shortly. 2 armed military personnel, Edward and Adam, arrive on their ship and behave rather consciousness, but discovers that her leg is trapped between rocks and she cannot free herself. At this moment, the enraged military officer demands that the crew explain where Komarov went. He begins to beat people, demanding to summon the captain. Desperate Zena screams is her destiny to die in a pit on Mars, but she is found by Simon and Gemma. Alessandra notices an approaching storm. The military officer is preparing to leave the Ulysses ship, leaving the people in danger. Suddenly, the lights start flashing, and the newly appeared Karov asks to take him back to Earth. Simon, Gemma, and Jana go together to the place indicated by Komarov and find an entrance to an underground bunker very similar to the Petrom. The psychologist feels where to go and leads the couple. Soon they find real water, but this is not what Komov wanted to show them. Meanwhile, on Earth, Goldstein tells the nurse a story about the study of Mars. People were searching for green men, but it's all much simpler. He tells the story of the loyal dog Hachiko, compares Karov to him who was created by someone 100,000 years ago and left on Mars, where he faithfully waited for his owner to this day at this time on Mars. The American but informs him that Mars will be the one to kill him. The military officer falls. The countdown for liftoff begins, and Jana realizes that there's no time to return. She bids farewell to the crew, confessing her love for Simon. The ship takes off. Suddenly, Mir notices that it's dark at the North Pole of Mars. This means that they couldn't have been there just a few minutes ago. They truly were at the North Pole of Mars. But in the still suitable for life at the same time, Goldstein is informed of the ship's return, and he's beside himself with rage, declaring that he will go to Mars himself, and that's where the first A manned space mission wouldn't go without lots of pre-planning, such as a habitat already built and ready to go. Ever since computers have been invented, we have known they can fail. This is why there will always be a manual backup to every system, especially the important ones such as life support. There should be a massive battery backup system. The battery life of the Apollo spacecraft was 10 days without recharging. What irritates me about these films about missions to Mars is that they always arrive with a single module without having had any preparation, Plan B, etc. Before going on a distant and risky mission like this, any minimally intelligent person would first send an unmanned ship to land and install a shelter, and they would then send a mothership with at least 2 landing modules. It's the minimum level of security, but all screenwriters fall into this trap, the same as for all mankind, mission to Mars, etc. This already discredits the entire story. For those of you complaining about the complete and utter lack of realism in the lack of planning shown, just pretend it was a mission arranged by Elon Musk, and the complete lack of preparation and minimal safety standards being ignored all become very believable. All of these space movies are the same. Something goes wrong and they solve it right at the end. I'd like to watch one where nothing happens. Something like the launch goes well, the journey is successful, the landing is as planned, the excursions are perfect, the return journey goes off without a hitch and they all live happily ever after. Every space, going to the center of the Earth movie has the decoupler on the outside of the ship. 1 billion degrees? No problem, go out there and pull the lever. -400? The decoupler is outside, good luck. Alien movie. The power? It's outside in 300 miles per hour, winds 50 yards away, and human-eating aliens waiting outside. Good luck. Where did these engineers go to school? What irritates me is that they portray the Americans as abandoning them, when in reality, history shows that Americans go to great lengths to rescue survivors. Even corpses. One of our most used and wide sayings is, "We leave no man behind." Our troops have level entire villages to get our dead comrades back and wounded / it's never a good situation in a movie about traveling to Mars. Something always goes wrong. As far as landing, if we can land rovers on Mars, why not people? Besides, I doubt that someone or something will be waiting for us when we get there in real life, unless you believe in a NASA shadow space program. Anyways, it was interesting to watch.